Hello again and welcome to the third episode. After a short trip to Malaysia and kayaking in Satun, we made our way back to the pier and took a boat to Gor Lipe. Her father and one of her brothers were working there. The pier was tremendously crowded, and after 2 hours with a speedboat, we arrived at the small but popular island. We stayed together with her bro and his wife and made a boat trip the next morning. The first stop was on an island with very softly rounded black and white stones. Then we went snorkeling together at 3 different spots. We could watch the corals and some fish in the clear water. Later, Sana told me about the possibility to camp at the neighbor island, which sounded great since the price for the hotels on Gor Lipe was relatively expensive anyway. So, after we returned from the trip, we took a boat for 100 baht to the neighbor island Gor Adang. No roads, no stores, no crowds of tourists, simply nice and natural beaches. There were only a few other people camping on the island. We looked for a nice spot to set up my tent and hammock in between the pine trees and enjoyed the atmosphere after eating at the only restaurant. But we were not completely isolated from the neighbor island. After sunset, the music of the Zodiac bar traveled over the water surface right to our ears. We didn't have a choice but to listen to it. At least, the music was quite good. In the morning, while watching the sunrise, we could see the famous sky bridge of Langkawi on the horizon, the Malaysian island we had visited a week earlier. We decided to stay one more night on Gor Adang and enjoyed the simple things like playing in the water, or climbing on top of a viewpoint and gazing into the distance. We also sat down on the beach and watched the crabs. There were plenty of them since they weren't being threatened in a national park. One more coming there.
Can I stay with you? Please.
Wow. On the last morning after sunrise, I went to a small waterfall while Sana was relaxing in the hammock. Here at the sign, I almost had to give up before it even started, because I took a video and didn't look where I was going. I was supposed to go left, which I realized after 10 minutes of searching for a path without success. Finally, I started walking. It was a nice feeling to walk barefoot on top of the soft layer of leaves. There were plenty of different animals I could hear, but I didn't see many. I felt like Mowgli while balancing on a fallen trunk over a small river. On the way back, I took a wrong turn and ended up at the beach, which was beautiful. A little further, there was a resort though, and after asking I found out that I had to walk through the bungalows to return to the jungle path. When I arrived, I met Sana, who had just ordered her breakfast at the restaurant. It was perfect timing.
Good.
Good?
Yes.
In the afternoon, we returned to Lipe and had dinner with her bro and her father. We stayed 2 more nights and explored more of the island. While walking, we noticed many abandoned resorts in the jungle. They had to be closed by the law after locals demanded the verification of the land documents. Hotels blocked access to roads and beaches, which made it more difficult for the sailors to go fishing, for children to go to school, and for the sick people to go to the hospital. Most of the original inhabitants that lived on the island for more than 100 years were deceived for their land and their homes demolished. Some of the gypsies moved to the close neighbor island, which I had the chance to visit the previous year, without knowing anything about the issue. We returned to the mainland with a plan of going back to Hat Yai. Halfway through, the front tire of our motorbike broke. Immediately, there were Thai people helping us, and even though it was Songkran festival, we got our tire fixed and made it back to Hat Yai in the evening. It was crazy busy. The cars and motorbikes blocked the road, and people threw water at everyone and smeared shaving cream in their faces. It was impossible to stay dry. We spent almost a week in Hat Yai with her mom and her siblings. Then it was time for the next destination. We took the train to Yala, the most southern province of Thailand. Honestly, there was not much to do, so the next day we drove further down to Betong, the most southern city of Thailand. The way through the mountains was beautiful and full of curves. We rented a motorbike there and drove to an area close to a lake called Ayia Weng. In the afternoon, we arrived at the viewpoint and saw a beautiful double rainbow. We looked for our sleeping options and for supermarkets, but everything was closed because it was still Ramadan. Luckily, some locals on a motorbike helped us to find a store that would open soon. There, we ate dinner, bought some snacks, and followed the recommendation to stay at a nearby homestay instead of camping. It was a wise decision, considering the heavy rain that followed. In the morning, before sunrise, we went up the same viewpoint like the afternoon before, which now was surprisingly crowded. We watched the sunrise in the vast cloudy landscape. Then we explored more of the environment, like an abandoned hot spring where I had a photo shooting with this little guy. Close to Betong again, we went to a nice waterfall, where some locals were happy to see a foreigner like me and gave us a piece of watermelon in exchange for a photo. There were also some brave Thai boys who jumped from the cliff into the shallow water. We didn't stay much longer and returned to Hat Yai again. We thought where we should go next. The trains were full from the ending holidays, so we left the south and took a bus to Bangkok, or Krung Thep, how the locals say. In the next episode, you will see how we explored the north of Thailand and visited the village where I taught English the year before. We also traveled all the way down to Kuala Lumpur for my last visa run. Thanks for watching.